Hey there, and welcome back to another What If review. And today we'll be talking about the latest episode to drop, What If the Watcher Broke His Oath, which serves as the finale of the first season of What If, and follows up on the Ultron episode from last week, telling the story of how the Watcher assembled a team of heroes to combat Ultron as he attempts to destroy the multiverse. And I think for the most part, this episode really delivered on what had been set up previously in the past couple of episodes, and felt like a great finale for the character of Ultron. And honestly, this really did improve his character after I feel like he was a little bit wasted in Age of Ultron. I mean, this episode and the last one really showcased that he had so much more potential to be a really important and lasting villain in the MCU. Oh well, it's too late now, but at least we'll always have this two-parter to highlight how awesome he was. But then again, I guess his goal of wiping out life would have been a little bit too similar to what Thanos wanted to do in Endgame, and would have felt a bit samey in the end. But that being said, I still would have preferred this version, I think. But there's always the hope we could see a cameo from him in Multiverse of Madness or something like that. Anyway though, with all that being said, let's get started on the review. We start off the episode following the adventures of Captain Carter in the modern day, aligning her with the start of the film Winter Soldier. And this scene felt so familiar, but also so different from the one in Captain America. And I guess that mainly has to do with the Captain herself. I like the subtle differences between the two characters. You can see that Captain Carter really embraces being part of the 21st century, using computers and getting in on the banter a lot more than Steve did. Steve, bless his heart, always felt like the man out of time, like somebody had shot their granddad with an anti-age gun and told him to come hang out with them and their friends from now on. He tried his best, but he definitely felt like he never truly belonged. But I can't say the same for her. Anyway, the Watcher appears while she's in the middle of a boxing match with some pirate captain and abducts her from her timeline, before the scene moves on to Star-Lord T'Challa's universe, where he's abducted as he saves Peter Quill from getting absorbed by Ego. We then see a scene from an episode I don't remember at all. So was this cut, saved for season 2 maybe? Am I just having a mental blank? When did Stark and Gamora become the last survivors against Thanos in space? So many questions. And then we see Killmonger getting abducted just as he's about to be attacked by Wakandan loyalists and American invaders. And I do have to ask, why the hell is Pepper Potts in the middle of an active war zone wielding a gun, but also dressed as if she's turning up to a day in the office? Probably need to think about the dress code next time, Pepper. Anyway, the Watcher also picks up Party Thor before dumping them all at a mystical pub that Doctor Strange built based on information from Captain Carter's biography. And going back to Party Thor for a second, at the end of his episode, we saw Ultron turn up. Why is he not dead? Ultron turned up in the desert with Thor. Thor snatched in Las Vegas. How did he survive Ultron? Why didn't Ultron just blow up the planet? Why didn't he kill Thor like he did to every other hero? I mean, he even one-shot Thanos. How did Thor possibly escape? Especially Party Thor. It really doesn't make much sense to me. Also, I was a little bit disappointed we didn't get anyone from the zombie episode make an appearance. Surely Head in a Jar Ant-Man and Spidey could have offered some fun help. Oh well. Anyway, the Watcher turns up at the pub and tells the gang about Ultron, forming the Guardians of the Multiverse out of his little ragtag team. And honestly, I'm not sure why he didn't pick up some more powerful combatants for this mission though. Thor I get, Strange I get, Gamora and her Crusher thing, I get. But they couldn't have tried to get Captain Marvel? Or Odin? Surely there's an alternate universe where Hela wasn't evil. Or maybe go get Vision or Scarlet Witch? Nope. Just some super soldiers and a space cowboy? Sure, how could this possibly go wrong? Also, I do really enjoy that they strayed back into humour with this episode. Considering this one's about multiversal genocide, the writers could have been tempted to have it be a bit more bleak. Much like the Doctor Strange episode was. But having this extended scene at the pub where they all clown on the Watcher and interrupt him, and Thor almost gets sucked into a black hole and then demands Chinese food to be delivered, really brightened it up and makes the finale a really well-balanced story. The team then make their way to Vormir in a random universe that's been butchered by Ultron, with the plan of stealing Ultron's Soul Stone and using it to power the Infinity Crusher. It's a pretty decent plan, all things considered. Although, why don't they gather their own stones as well? Give them a fighting chance? I mean, there are infinite possible universes, right? Why not use some of them to your advantage? I mean, I guess you'd have to weigh up the lives lost with the time spent getting the stones, plus stamina lost possibly fighting for them. But they literally spent ages getting Chinese food while slowly formulating a plan. You'd think they'd want to head into this with a little bit more gusto. Anyway, Thor, after drinking a cocktail provided by Doctor Strange, accidentally attracts Ultron a little too early, and the group battle him for possession of the Soul Stone, with the heroes able to take it from him after a pretty awesome and unique battle. And I did notice, most of the unique and awesome attacks came from Doctor Strange. Plus, he kept everybody alive with his protection spell. How strong is this version of Doctor Strange? He essentially fights a 1v1 with Infinity Ultron, with the others giving moral support. Honestly, he's a bit of a beast. Anyway, the group flees to Ultron's Earth after Doctor Strange drops a horde of zombies on Ultron's head, including zombie Scarlet Witch, in preparation for Phase 2 of the battle. And speaking of which, just as they're about to put the Soul Stone into the Infinity Crusher on Earth, Black Widow ruins everything by snatching the stone and threatening everybody with a pistol. Nice. And this allows Ultron to turn up and for the team to play a game of keep away with the Soul Stone in one of the cooler fights of the season. And seriously, this battle's pretty epic, even though half the characters here would just get clapped by Ultron. The episode lets them shine while ensuring that you understand just how strong this guy is. Kind of like the battle on Titan in Infinity War. In that fight, Thanos still did look like a huge threat, but the different Avengers and Guardians got their own moment to shine. Anyway, Doctor Strange once again comes away from this looking like the MVP, taking down Ultron with his Time Stone and tentacles, and allowing the Crusher to climb onto him and supposedly destroy the stones. Except, nah, turns out the machine is not calibrated to his stones, just Gamora's stones. So she, and her little device, were useless for this fight. So sucked in, mate. Anyway, Ultron gets all the stones back and starts going bananas on the Guardians, who are still being protected by Doctor Strange's spell. Seriously, how strong is he? Man, I hope regular MCU Strange gets this kind of buff one day. Anyway, Carter and Black Widow break away from the main group and plot to infect Ultron with the Zola virus, who's somehow back in the Arrow instead of in that robot. And their insane, super rushed plan actually works, thanks to plot armor and railroading. Doesn't it take away from Hawkeye's mystique if it turns out Black Widow is also a super archer capable of threading an arrow into an eye socket from ages away whilst flying through the air on a motorbike? Oh, and Mr. I Can See All Universes didn't sense Captain Carter coming up behind him to lift his visor up? Sure. And how does the arrow even penetrate him? He survived way more powerful hits than this, but a little rinky-dinky arrow pierces his synthetic eye? Nah. Anyway, since Zola's pretty miffed that Ultron wiped out Earth and rendered Hydra obsolete, he takes great pleasure in wiping Ultron out and stealing his body, which allows Killmonger to steal the majority of the stones from the armor and declare he's going to rebuild a better world. But of course, Zola also wants the stones, and they start a tug of war, which allows Doctor Strange to capture them in a time bubble and guard them for all eternity. So that's pretty bleak. And man, the Watcher totally knew this was going to happen, didn't he? So pretty harsh to do this to Killmonger. That's the only reason he brought him. And I think he'd honestly be better off to be dead. And then the Watcher deposits our heroes back to their respective times, with Peggy discovering that Steve's been Winter Soldiered pretty much, Thor getting his date with Jane, and T'Challa and Gamora doing their thing too, I guess. But who cares? But then the Watcher actually does something super nice and puts Black Widow into the world where the Avengers, except for the two captains, got murdered, and Earth was subjugated by Loki and the Asgardians. And that's a pretty epic finale, not gonna lie. And really, that's it for the episode. And I really enjoyed it. Good story, good action, minimal BS plot devices and plot armor, although there were still some. Just good old-fashioned superheroes. Loved it. And now I'm sad that this is the last episode. Now I gotta wait for Hawkeye. But as always, those are just my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the episode? Like it? Hate it? Make sure to leave a comment and let me know.